What would you say if I told you things had never changed and we'll find a way to take our dreams and rearrange them? Who'd believe that we could be in love again? So let's just pretend that you and me can be just good friends.
Lenny.
How are you going, Vincey? You want a pint?
No, I'm in a hurry. I want to work with you.
What's up?
Do you remember Penny?
Penny who?
Penny Winder. I was engaged to her. The posh girl from Chipping-Ongar.
The posh girl from Chipping-Ongar?
Her father was a wine merchant, her mother was a Nazi. Penny Winder. 5 years ago, I was supposed to marry her.
What, you got married?
No, I didn't get married. Give me strength. I couldn't go through with it, remember? Couldn't stand the thought of living in her mother's house. It would have been like kipping with Mussolini. Remember now?
Hey, you got me beat on this one, Vincey.
God almighty, Lenny, you were the best man.
Oh, yeah, I remember it well. You don't have to get things like that in a hurry. Crying her eyes out. She was mascara all down her wedding dress. I remember saying to her, it's lucky that ain't hired.
I get the picture, don't labour the point.
Well, what about her?
Well, last night I accidentally bumped into her.
Hang on a minute. You're not going to show me stitches, are you? I can't be doing with stitches, Vincey.
There were no stitches. We got on famously. Well, as famously as you can get on with someone you jilted. There was a bit of slander flying about to begin with.
Yeah, you're lucky it was just slander. Remember when that bird Moira tried to fire extinguisher at me?
Yeah, I remember.
How is she now, then?
Who?
Lady Penelope.
Oh, Penny. Oh, she's lovely.
Yeah.
She's very healthy. Good teeth, strong legs, should study distance. She's also married.
Thought that's how you liked her.
I don't like the idea of Penny being married.
Oh, is that why you never turned up at the wedding?
Lenny, why don't you shut up and listen?
Oh, forgive me for breathing, Vince.
Listen. Before we parted last night, we were having a bit of a disagreement. Her last words to me were, I just hope to God you'll knock down the red line tomorrow night around 8 o'clock.
So?
So there's the problem. Which red line didn't she want me to be at? There's hundreds of them.
Well, why don't you just make sure that tonight at 8 o'clock you're in none of them?
But then we won't see each other, will we?
Oh, she doesn't want to see you, does she? She says she hopes you're not in a red line tonight at 8.
Which means she wants me to be there.
Oh. Does it?
Well, of course it does. If she didn't want me to be there, she wouldn't have told me where not to be, right?
I don't know anymore, Vincent. I like nice, uncomplicated girls, you know? Girls who either like you or chuck fire extinguishers at you.
You usually get your wish, don't you? See, I can't even go to her house. She moved a few years back, but she didn't say where.
Maybe it's just as well. I mean, you turning up out of the blue's hardly going to put a grin on her husband's face, is it?
No, well, they parted some time back. She started comparing him with me, and, well...
Silly thing to do.
There you go.
Does she have a car?
Yeah.
Did you get the number?
Did I get the number? Lenny, I didn't have time to collect car numbers. I was too busy train spotting. Did I get the number?
Look, the Scotland Yard computer can trace people through their car numbers. Did you clock the make and colour of the car?
It was a red Fiesta. There are more red Fiestas than there are red bloody lines, you zonko. Anyway, look. Who do we know who can get in the Scotland Yard and work their computer?
My cousin Brian's a cook in a canteen up there.
My Aunt Kit's a cleaner at Guy's Hospital, but I wouldn't let Tammy tonsils out.
Yeah, when you put it like that. Well, I reckon you've drawn a rank outsider this time, Vincent. Hey, you're not thinking of taking up with it again, are you?
No. Nothing heavy, you know me. I like meeting people, especially women.
Why don't you become an Avon rep, then? Look, Vincent, you take my advice.
Last time I took your advice, it cost me 150 quid at Haringey.
What time are you back in the betting shop?
Now, I can't afford to stay away too long in case the others discover me fiddles. See you later, then.
It's a grim old world, isn't it, Vincey, eh? It's all work, work, work.
You've got a habit of speaking on subjects you know nothing about. Well, that's it. She told me where she worked. You've cracked it, me little darling. Mwah.
What's your game?
See you later, cowboy.
Hungry people gather, though Soroti warehouse is 100 miles from the famine. This is the destination of the growing number of trucks bringing aid from Western nations. But there are only 2 small warehouses to cope with supplies for 400,000 people. For a month, Moroto town centre has been crammed with starving Karamojong, mostly women and children and old men. The strong are away cattle raiding themselves. Such is the suicidal madness of this neglected. Their witch doctors say famine is a curse from one of their hostile fellow Karamoja tribes.
You're home early, darling. Didn't you go to the Red Lion?
Oh, yes, I went there. I was supposed to meet a friend, but she didn't turn up.
Just as well. Awful common pub.
Mummy, I've told you before, it's a very nice pub. They have a jazz group there some evenings, and that's the reason I go.
It's beyond me what you see in all this jazz music. Still, if you enjoy listening to a lot of men all playing different songs out of tune at the same time, who am I to criticize?
Is Daddy home?
No. He's probably caught in a snarl-up in Epping. Every night he gets caught in a snarl-up in Epping. Sometimes I think he does it deliberately.
Don't be silly.
You don't think he's got another woman, do you?
Daddy? Sorry.
You're probably right. It is ludicrous. The thought of your father leaping round some pied-à-terre in his vest and socks. Oh, God.
Oh, I'll get it.
Probably Daddy. Forgotten his keys again.
Good evening, madam. I'm collecting for old people. Do you have an old person you could let me have?
What the hell are you doing here?
I found this in my pocket.
It's a handkerchief.
Yes, that's what my friend said it was, but I didn't know whether to believe him. I thought you might be needing it. There's a bug going round.
Needing it? It isn't even mine.
Isn't it? Oh, well, it's been a wasted journey then.
How did you find out where I lived?
Well, I went to that advertising agency where you work. The receptionist told me it was your day off, but I managed to charm the address out of her.
That's probably Carol. She's my best friend.
Didn't get her name.
Blonde girl?
Yeah, rather sexy.
Lots of spots under her skin.
Didn't notice, Ben. It's a nice road you've moved into. Look at all them conifers and gnomes. Reminds me of the red light district in Camberwick Green. I must say, he set you up well.
Who did?
Your ex-husband.
Oh, this isn't Graham's house.
Oh. Well, whose house is it then?
Who is it, darling?
God almighty, that's the alien.
It's all right, Mummy. It's a man.
I thought it was your father.
I didn't know you were back with your parents.
I had my own flat until about a year ago, but it was very expensive. Why am I explaining myself to you? Just go, will you, Vince? I told you last night I didn't want to see you again.
All right, Pen, I'll see you. Listen, I'm on a party Saturday night at...
Well, well, well. It's the ice cream man.
Evening, Mrs. Warrender.
You're a little late for the wedding, Vincent. We paid off the vicar in 1978.
Vincent just called round to return this handkerchief.
He found it after 5 years. Or did your mother finally get round to doing the washing?
It's a bit uncalled for, isn't it? What harm did my mother ever do?
She gave birth to you.
He didn't suddenly find it after 5 years. Vincent and I accidentally bumped into each other last night.
Penelope, are you telling me that you bumped into this virtual stranger last night and just happened to leave an article of clothing with him?
An article? It's a handkerchief.
A handkerchief is an article of clothing. To a lady.
I don't believe you sometimes. It isn't even mine.
I can see that. Why did you bother to bring this worthless piece of tat all this way?
I thought it might have some sentimental value.
But it's cheap. Cheap and nasty.
Thought you might have bought it for penny.
You weren't thinking of inviting it in, were you?
No. Vincent was just leaving.
Good, because I wouldn't have allowed him across the threshold.
Now, wait a minute. If I'd wanted to invite Vincent in, I would have.
You most certainly would not have.
Mummy, this is as much my home as it is yours.
Who pays the mortgage?
Daddy.
Exactly, so it's mine.
I have as much right to invite my friends in as you have.
He is not entering this house.
Really? Would you like to come in, Vincent?
No thanks,
Yes,
Ben.
do come in, please. Go through to the living room. Oh, don't look at me like that, please.
How sharper than a serpent's tooth it is to have a thankless child. Shakespeare.
King Lear.
Shakespeare?
Now, before either of you start, there's something I'd like to say. We are all mature adults. Whatever happened between us happened a long time ago. It's over and done with. And besides, you always taught me never to harbour a grudge.
I most certainly did not teach you never to harbour a grudge.
It was probably Daddy then.
Oh, well, what do you expect? Your father is so wet, I sometimes wonder why he wasn't born with a stopcock.
All right, then. If you can't respect each other's feelings, you can at least try to respect mine. No snide comments. No sarcastic remarks, please.
Is your father still a rag and bone man?
He's a scrap metal merchant and he's doing very nicely, thank you. Sir?
Oh, stop it! Neither of you are even willing to try.
I'm sorry, Ben. This is a lovely house you've moved into, Mrs. Warrender.
I know.
Nice area.
Yes.
Lots of Volvos.
What?
Well, I couldn't help noticing them all as I pulled up. I thought to myself, hello, must be Swedish week in Chippinonga.
This isn't Chippinonga.
I know, but it looks just the same.
I haven't the faintest idea what he's talking about, Penny, but I know he's being abusive.
Just calm down, Mummy.
Calm down? How can I calm down? One minute I'm sitting here quietly watching people starve, and the next this rapist is deposited in my sitting room.
Rapist?
Oh, come on, Daphne.
Did you or did you not take my daughter's most precious gift?
If you're talking about that Morris Minor you bought her for her birthday.
Button it, Vince.
Yes, I borrowed it a couple of times, but I always brought it back.
I prayed I'd never live to see this day.
Makes you wonder if there's a God, doesn't it?
He shows no remorse for all the shame and humiliation he brought on this family. We had a church, a vicar, recorded bells, and a bride. All we needed was a groom. We'd have had the full set. Does he know what he did to you?
Can't we just drop the subject, please?
No, we cannot drop the subject. I had to listen to my daughter, my only child, cry herself to sleep night after endless night. I watched while she picked up the pieces of what you'd left of her life. She changed. She became distant, hardened. She started listening to jazz music. Mr. Warrender came out in scurf rash.
I'm sure we all suffered in our own way. Even Vincent.
Well, absolutely, Ben.
He doesn't know the meaning of the word. To him, suffering is something that happens to other people. I suffered. God knows I suffered. I remember when you first met him, how I had to bite my tongue, keep all my feelings inside, and let true love run its course. I didn't say a word when he first brought you back on that awful motorcycle of his. I didn't complain when I was awoken night after night by the Silver Dream machine and its infernal backfiring. I thought, what's a bit of shell shock compared with my daughter's happiness? I stood silently by while my child changed from an English rose into a leather-clad Susie Quantro look-alike. I even welcomed his family into my home, indulged their obsession for Australian sherry and spam-coloured cars. But I always knew that one day he would leave you, broken-hearted and saddle-sore. Now, I refuse to stay in the same room with him. If he won't leave, I will. If anybody needs me, I shall be in the breakfast nook.
She's mellowed.
Yes. Still, at least she's talking to you.
Yeah, we can't have it always, can you?
Vincent, why did you come here tonight?
I thought you wanted to see me, Pen.
Wanted to see you? Whatever gave you that idea? I thought I'd made it very clear that I didn't want to see you, that I didn't even like you anymore. My last words to you were, with any luck, we won't meet again for the rest of our lives.
Look, you're upset, Pen.
Well, of course I'm upset. How would you feel if somebody left you on your wedding day and then 5 years later arrived at your parents' house and tried to give you someone else's hanky? Vincent, I don't need you in my life anymore. All I want now is to forget about you. Again.
Pen, what are you trying to say?
Oh, God! Go, Vince, just go!
If that's what you want. I'm sorry, I must have misunderstood. Story of my life, eh? See you, Pen.
When?
Oh, I don't...
I feel better now.
Amazing what a few drugs can do. But I was gonna...
Sit down, sit!
How's your father, Vince? Does he still drive the pink Mustang?
I know he sold it a long time ago. He's got a turquoise Pontiac now.
Yes. I'll never forget what fun he was at your engagement party. Do you remember what he did in Daddy's ornamental pond?
Yes, I do.
I shouldn't imagine the fish forgot in a hurry either. And how's your mother? Does she still enjoy drinking?
Not since her illness, Mrs. Warrender.
I didn't know your mother was ill.
Yeah, it's her nervous system. The neurologist thinks it's delayed shock after what happened between us.
I am sorry, Vince.
It's not your fault, Mrs. Warrender? Well, not entirely. One day, her whole system just collapsed.
I'm surprised I didn't hear anything.
Well, it didn't make a lot of noise, Daphne.
We're talking about nerves, not scaffolding.
I meant I'm surprised I didn't hear about it before.
Is she still receiving treatment?
Hourly. She just sits in the living room, lifeless, surrounded by all this medical equipment. Monitoring machines, support systems, that kind of thing. She hasn't spoken in 4 years.
Oh, poor Vince.
But how is she in herself?
It's difficult to tell, Daphne. Lack of communication, basically. I bought her this pair of earphones, and every day we just plug her into Radio 1.
Does she like pop music?
It was her birthday last week. I bought her a hat.
Oh.
Hello, darling. Sorry I'm late. Got caught in a snarl up in Epping. Hello, darling. Vince.
Mr. Warrender?
God, I could do with a stiff sherry. Vincent? What's he doing here?
Don't be too harsh with him, Norman. He's suffered a lot lately.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, quite a coincidence, you being here this evening. I saw your mother this morning coming out of Halford's.
She didn't happen to have an iron lung with her by any chance.
A what?
She's up and down, you know.
I bet she is, Vince.
Beat me up, Scotty.
Well,
Well, what?
are you just going to stand there, or are you going to give him a piece of your mind?
But you said...
Never mind what I said. You're the man of the house. Go to it, Norman. Tear him off a strip.
Do you really think it was wise coming here this evening, Vince?
Well, it was more a mission of mercy, Mr. Warrender. I returned something of Penny's.
Oh, I see. Oh, well. Now, would you like a drink, Vince?
No, thank you, Mr. Warrender. I never drink and drive. I find you spill most of it as you turn the corners.
Yes, very wise.
Well, that certainly put the fear of God up him, didn't it? Would you like a drink? Perhaps you'd like something to eat, Vincent. We've plenty of wedding cake in the freezer. When are you ever going to realize the kind of man you're dealing with? When did he even show an ounce of gratitude for all I did for you?
What you did for us?
Oh, leave it, Vince.
No, Pen, I've got to say my piece. All right, Daphne. What did you ever do for us?
What did I ever do for you? I only organised your entire wedding. I even found you that flat and then had to force you to put a deposit on it.
That was because we didn't like it, Mummy.
Nonsense. It was a beautiful flat. It's just like the flat your father and I had when we got married.
You see what I mean, Pen? She wasn't trying to bless our union, she was trying to clone us. We were just spores she was going to distribute throughout the Woodford area to await the satanic spring when we would rise up through the sunroof of the company Volvo.
What is this big thing you've got about Volvos?
They drive them. The people your mother admires, the people she wanted us to become.
What's wrong with Volvos?
Nothing. They're great cars. Designed by experts, built by specialists, and driven by Pratts. Is, that your Volvo parked out in the street?
Yes, it is.
Yes, well, I think it was time I was going.
What a good idea.
Right to both of you.
I'll see him out. Well, I think they liked you.
I must admit, Pen, that didn't go down quite as well as I'd hoped.
Why did you tell such a cruel lie about your own mother?
Why? Well, I did it for you, Pen.
Did it for me?
Well, of course. Look, you wanted me and your mother to behave in a relatively civilized manner, so I thought the only way to achieve this was to make her feel sympathy for me. And it almost worked for a while, didn't it?
I suppose so. I just don't know anymore.
Red Lion's still open?
Don't feel like a drink.
Well, I do. I'll go down there and wait. If you turn up, you turn up. If you don't, well, that's life.
Is that your van rusting out there?
No, it isn't.
How did you get here, then?
In that van. It's me father's.
I suppose it backfires.
No, it doesn't backfire.
It looks as if it backfires.
Well, your cocktail cabinet looks like a genuine antique, but it isn't. Look, I'm sorry. I better go before I get sued. Good night, Mrs. Warrender. Bye, Ben.
He'll hurt you again, darling.
He couldn't. Look, I know what you're thinking, but you're wrong. We're just good friends, that's all. Nothing more. What are you thinking about?
I was just thinking that if cocking things up were a source of energy, I'd be able to light up London all on my own. I'm sorry I rowed with your mother, Pen.
Oh, don't be silly. She enjoyed every minute of it. She hasn't had a really good row since we broke up.
Yeah, me and her used to have some real belts, didn't we?
So did you and I. Look, Vince, I know it was a long time ago, but I wanted to apologise for that day in Tottenham High Street.
What day in Tottenham High Street?
About 5 years ago. If you hadn't have been so nasty, nothing would have happened.
Well, what did I do then?
You must remember. I pulled up behind you at some lights. And you were sitting there on that great big motorbike of yours. The one with the personalised number plates. Vincent Ian Pinner, VIP.
Oh, yeah, that was a great number plate, that.
And you bought yourself a new crash helmet. One of those ones with a black tinted visor. And a new suede jacket, and I thought, doesn't he look good? Well, it wasn't long after our wedding that never was, but I thought, we're mature adults, there's no need for animosity, so I gave you a friendly beep, and you turned round and gave me a V sign.
No.
You did, you stuck your fingers up at me.
I would never do that to you, Pen. Was your mother with you?
No, she wasn't. Anyway, I was livid, and that's why I chased after you and forced you off the road. I could hear your bike crashing all the way down the high street. I could see you in my mirror, all spread-eagled across the pavement. I thought, God, what have I done? I was so frightened. But I must admit, it was a delicious feeling. I'd waited 6 months to get even with you. And it was worth every minute of the wait.
Penny? I sold my bike 2 weeks after we broke up.
I might have killed him.
It could have been me.
I meant to kill you.
Oh, yeah. Well, don't upset yourself, Penny. It was a long time ago.
That's your answer to everything, isn't it? It was a long time ago, so why worry?
I just don't want you torturing yourself with guilt. It was a long time ago.
Yes, I suppose you're right.
Of course I'm right. Besides, the police have probably closed the case by now.
Police? Oh, my God.
What's wrong with you now?
Oh, nothing to worry about. Just got a slight touch of murder, that's all.
Pen, I was only joking about it, please.
You were joking at a moment like this. Why don't you just naff off, Vincent?
Penny, love is never having to say, naff off. Penny, I've got a confession to make.
Go and see a priest, then.
Penny, it was me on the bike.
Really? You're not just saying that to make me feel better. Tell me the truth, Vince, please, for once in your life. Just tell me the truth.
Cross me out, Pen. It was me you nearly killed that day.
Oh, thank God for that. Oh. Were you hurt?
Are you kidding? I went 120 yards down Tottenham High Street like a bouncing bomb. Took them 5 hours to get my bike out of the telephone kiosk. The person I felt sorry for was the little old lady making the long-distance call.
Rat.
Broke my left hand.
All better now?
And me collarbone. And the rib.
Hurt all over, were you?
All over.
Seems we were both broken up in one way or another.
You had a cruel streak, Pen. Oh.
You never used to complain.
Oh, stop it, Pen. You know what that does? Oh, not the ear, Pen. Oh. Hold it. Where's that bit of cotton wool gone?
You pig!
Pen?
Goodbye, Vince.